All right, so the topic for today is our software facilitation service that we offer to RIAs. This has been needed in the space for a really long time. There's really two big problems that we solve. Okay, so here's what we're doing. We go into these software vendors, we get an institutional license with the vendor. So at this point, Revisor, we have an institutional contract with Orion, Addepar, and Black Diamond. Tamarack to be added within the next 12 months. So that being said, take case one, which is the firm that just doesn't have enough AUM to meet the minimum for some of these services. So Addepar, just as a great example, Addepar, the annual minimum is somewhere in the $50,000 range. So if you're managing $25 million right now, that's really just outside of it's not reasonable. So the first problem that we solve is just democratizing the space, which is a really big goal for us. So we want to bring, we were a small RIA at one time as well, have vivid memory of, managing, going from 20 million to 40, et cetera, and just wanting to provide certain solutions, wanting to engage with certain vendors, and just feeling like just such a big letdown when you find out that, well, we intentionally are excluding you smaller RIAs from really being a potential customer of ours, and that was just a lot of frustration during those high growth years. So we want to bring this to the space. Smaller RIAs plug in. We've got the contract. We're already meeting the minimums, and you can just plug right in and start using the system. In most cases, it's similar cost, or if you were to directly per account for your size, kind of adjusted for size, similar cost if you were to go directly to the software vendor. Your data is always owned by you. You ever want to go off and start your own instance and directly contract with these vendors, you'll be able to kind of splice off your piece under our parent instance and sign paperwork with them, and off to the races. So there's really no risk. There's really no downside. It just opens up opportunity for smaller RIAs to engage on these platforms where the minimums can cause major economic problems. So the second big issue, and this is I don't know which one is bigger, but they're both huge. This was absolutely mind-boggling to us. I thought when we first started down this path, over a decade ago, I thought that most firms were buying software systems like Orion and Addepar and Black Diamond. I thought they were buying these systems. Somebody at that office was getting them configured to where they were actually utilizing the software, all the modules, the billing, performance, and trading being the biggest problem. So what we found was, after lots of marketing, we've been marketing very heavily for the last 10 years to independently owned RIAs. And what we found was almost nobody has these systems configured to work properly. They'll usually get, the billing modules pretty easy. After we talk to 1,000 firms using Orion, Addepar, Black Diamond, Tamarack, and call after call, billing functionality works usually. Performance, almost always some problems with performance. You'd always hear things like, yeah, we've got certain households that we know just aren't right, and so we don't really use the performance module for a certain percentage of our client base. And I go, well, what do you do for those folks? And get some interesting answers. But the final piece to these platforms, the trading module, this is the one where even large, I've got a close friend that works for a 25 billion AUM RIA in Chicago. They use Orion Eclipse for trading, and I just figured, they probably got the system working really well. My friend, my colleague, we talk a lot, and he's on that team. That he's a CFA. He's on the team that builds, maintains, trades the portfolios for this $25 billion book of business. Every single time they change their models, every single model change, when they need to get those models implemented into those thousands of accounts that make up that 25 billion in AUM, it's a 2-week debacle of just pure anxiety and stress for the trading team. And the reason why is because They use maybe 10% of the efficiencies that could be created in the Orion Eclipse trading software, and they patch the problems with human utility. That's what pretty much everybody is doing. They buy the software, they pay this huge expense for the software. They know to get the trading module configured to where you can actually do one set of clicks and safely trade all of your client accounts and not have trade errors and not sell, positions that have tax sensitivity and not have problems. It's a huge undertaking. And the software vendors are not doing the RIA space justice by keeping this a secret. And the bottom line, are they doing it on purpose? No. But at the end of the day, there is no reason for every RIA to have their own instance, to have their own direct contract with these software vendors. Because now we have to rinse and repeat and configure each instance to work. We already have the instance configured. We already know how to do it. That is our core competency. One of our core competencies. We have other things that we're great at as well. But configuring software to actually work in all of the peripheral systems that have to kind of be built around it, that's what we do. So if the software vendors were, in my opinion, smart, they would be taking companies like us and every single new opportunity that came their way, they should be pulling them under as a child instance under firms like us that already have these systems built and configured and ready to go. Because at the end of the day, the probability of $100 million or even a $500 million RIA, even $1 billion RIA, actually getting this configured is about a 0.1% chance. It hardly ever happens. And everybody confuses the subject. They go, well, I got this really smart CFA, great portfolio manager, understands trading. Well, that's great, but that's a completely different skill set than actually configuring the software to work at scale and to keep it clean moving forward so that it can continue to be used at scale. So we solve that problem by allowing these RIAs that use these systems, Orion, Addepar, or Black Diamond, they can pull from their current contract with that software vendor, move that contract, if you will, under us, under our parent instance, still own their data. If they divorce us and want to directly contract again, they can take your data off. We have this in writing. Every one of these vendors will play ball and easily splice off your kind of child instance back into your own parent instance with the vendor if need be. So there's really no downside. You just are able to do this in a much better way. That's what our software facilitation service does for the RIA space. It's phenomenal. It's huge. This is a big deal, and we can't wait to get this out into the space and help as many RIAs as humanly possible.